Their last dying words are, this can't be happening, it's not real.
I hate to break it to you, but this is not called the weenus. I have no idea where that term came from. This is just elbow skin. The lub-dub sound of the heartbeat is not actually the sound of the heart muscle contracting. Instead, what you're hearing is the turbulent flow through the blood that's generated as valves, such as this one called the mitral valve, are slamming shut. You have an apron of fat just underneath your abdominal muscles. So if I go ahead and reflect this back, you see this yellowy tissue here. This is called the greater omentum. And I say apron on purpose because it literally drapes over your small intestines. But the greater omentum serves a variety of functions. It can help to minimize infection and literally wrap around the site of an infection to help minimize how much it spreads. It's going to be loaded with immune cells, so very, very important for your immune system. And then obviously it's going to store energy in the form of fat. We can see part of the uterus here, we can see some of the bladder, you can see the upper part of the vagina, we can even see part of the colon. But what I want you to look at is this little pouch here called the recto-uterine pouch, or also sometimes known as the pouch of Douglas. Now this little area normally accumulates fluid every single month for the female, but it also can serve as a place of attachment and accumulation of endometrial-like tissue if they have endometriosis. What you're looking at here is the pancreas, which has obviously been cut, and you can see that it's located posterior or behind the stomach, which again has also been cut. Now, the pancreas is extremely unique in its function because it kind of performs a double duty for the body. It both secretes enzymes, which are essential for the proper digestion and absorption of nutrients, and also secretes hormones directly into the bloodstream. And those hormones are insulin and glucagon, which are going to lower and raise your blood sugar levels accordingly. Let's talk about some of the differences between the trachea, which is part of your respiratory tract, and your esophagus, which is part of your digestive tract. You see, the trachea is a tube made of cartilage that makes it so it's always open. That's how you can be constantly breathing in and out, while the esophagus, on the other hand, as you can see, isn't always open. It only kind of increases in diameter as you're swallowing food or drink. So you can kind of picture digestive material going through it. What's going to happen is it's going to open up and then it's going to close right behind it, just because it doesn't need to constantly be open like the trachea does. And another interesting thing about the esophagus is that part of it is made of skeletal muscle and part of it is made of smooth muscle. That means you can control some of it and other parts of it you are just unable to control. Your stomach is capable of two different types of digestion: chemical and mechanical. So chemical digestion is going to happen when stomach acid is going to be secreted into this hollow inside, and that's going to bathe the food and break it down into this pasty, liquidy substance called chyme. Mechanical digestion happens due to these gastric rugae, these stomach folds you're looking at here, just grinding against one another, as well as the stomach contracting and moving it around almost like a cement truck. What you're looking at here is a section of the human small intestine, and you can see I've cut this small window into it, and this allows us to obviously see inside. And what you're looking at here are what are called circular folds. Now remember, the small intestine's job is to absorb nutrients. So this brown coloration you're seeing here, that's just leftover digestive material. But what you can't see is that on the surface of these circular folds are really tiny structures called villi. And those villi are going to absorb nutrients and bring it into the bloodstream and send it to the liver. You see this gigantic organ here? This is the liver, except this liver was not healthy when this individual passed, and we can tell because of this discoloration right here. Right here, we can see another one right there, and even over here. In fact, these are all cancerous tumorous nodules because this individual passed away from colorectal cancer, which likely began here in the sigmoid colon, but then metastasized and spread to their liver. Have you ever wondered what's on the other side of the umbilicus or your belly button or your navel? I mean, we all know that there was an umbilical cord that would then connect to the placenta, and that would be inside of mom's uterus. So if we go ahead and turn this over, what we see is nothing. It's just connective tissue. You see, there used to be blood vessels, the umbilical arteries and the umbilical vein. And what would happen is that vein would take newly oxygenated blood and nutrient-rich blood and deliver it to the growing fetal body. But there's waste products. So then the carbon dioxide and waste products would then travel through the arteries, go through this umbilicus, out the umbilical cord to the placenta, and mom's body would then get rid of it. But as soon as you're born, what happens is those blood vessels detach, and they essentially become different tissues, and you're left with what's essentially your very first scar. Let's talk about shin splints. So first off, you can see we've cut a little window into the tibia here, and that allows you to see the medullary cavity, which is the hollow center of a long bone. But if we draw our attention over here, you can see this tissue called the periosteum, and periosteum is going to reside on the outside of compact bone. But periosteum is going to be loaded with nerve endings, bone cells, and a whole variety of other things, but you can see that it's continuous with this tissue here called the fascia. See, as I put my probe under here, you can see that they blend with one another. In fact, they're made of the exact same type of tissue. The only reason we call them something different is because they're in different locations. That's just how anatomy works. Well, in shin splints, you can get an overworked muscle which can actually start to tug on the fascia, which can then tug on the periosteum and cause an inflammation. And since it's loaded with nerve endings, that means you're going to get quite a bit of pain.
12 more years! 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 You're not president, Pedo Joe! Take me home, country roads. Joe Biden is a Chinese. I refuse to apologize. For creating the modern world. Trump 2020. I'm a proud boy. Stand back. Stand by. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. Free-ass combo for an MMA fight. I'm 55 years old, but I'm kung fu. Christ is king. Christ is king. Christ is king. Christ is king. Christ is king.
Hey, Trump 2020.
Right for 45.
That's right. All legal votes matter.
That's right. I love America, I love babies, and I love Trump, okay? Biden doesn't like that. He don't like that.
I love my
He loves
freedom.
China. He loves
Money?
crooked deals.
America first, let's go! America always! USA! 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 USA!
You lost. We won. Mainstream media. Together.
I'll tell you what we did. We did what the cops won't do and cleaned up the streets.
No matter how much the fake news media tells you that Joe Biden is the new president-elect, that is not true. Fake news media does not decide who the president is.
Well, we came out in numbers. Power in numbers. Power in numbers. And we are here. Know that. And even if Trump don't win, we're coming back. We will come back even stronger.
Their last dying words are, this can't be happening, it's not real. And when they should be spending time FaceTiming their families, they're filled with anger and hatred. I think the hardest thing to watch is that people are still looking for something else, and they want a magic answer, and they don't want to believe that COVID is real. The reason I tweeted what I did is it wasn't one particular patient, it's just a culmination of so many people. And their last dying words are, this can't be happening, it's not real. And when they should be spending time FaceTiming their families, they're filled with anger and hatred. And it just made me really sad the other night. And I just can't believe that those are gonna be their last thoughts and words. Try to reason with people of, can I call your family, your kids, your wife, your friend, your brother? And they say no, because I'm going to be fine. And you're watching their oxygen levels, maxed out on what we call vapotherm at 100%, and their oxygen level might be 75. That's not really that compatible with life, and we know where that's going to head. And it just makes you sad and mad and frustrated. I think people look for anything. People want it to be influenza. They want it to be pneumonia. They want it to be, we've even had people say, well, I think maybe it might be lung cancer. Something so far-fetched. And the reality is, since day one, when COVID started in this area in March, you've kind of been able to say, if it walks like a duck and talks like a duck, it's a duck. Like, I hate to tell you that you have COVID, but that's what you have. Even after positive results come back, some people just don't believe it. Like, it's just a movie where the credits never roll. You just do it all over again. And it's hard and sad because every hospital, every nurse, every doctor in this state is seeing the same things. These people get sick in the same way. You treat them in the same way. They die in the same way, and then you do it over again. And we're so thankful for the lessons we've learned along the way, and we're doing a good job of taking care of the people that come in. And we're managing our patient loads here right now. Sometimes it's day to day, sometimes it's hour to hour. But the reality is that right now, it's not getting better. We have a lot of patients who are very, very grateful for their care and very thankful for what you do, but unfortunately, that's not what I'm remembering right now.
Mr. Blaylock was a mailman for 33 years until he passed away in 2006. 14 years later, according to state records, he was still mailing things. James Blaylock cast a ballot in last week's election. How did he do that? It might be worth asking the New York Times. Maybe James Blaylock was just one of those extraordinary mail carriers. Neither rain, nor snow, nor gloom of night, nor even death itself could keep him from the mail. In his case, maybe voting from the grave wasn't really fraud, it was just commitment.
The President of the United States was accusing you of voter fraud, essentially.
Oh, I know it. And I knew it wasn't fraud. He didn't vote.
It was you.
It was me.
Who did you vote for? You don't have to share that.
I voted for the Democrats, for Biden.
I see. And so,
I guess I voted against the other one, really.
James Blaylock is still dead. We told you about him. But it was his wife who voted. She voted as Mrs. James Blaylock. It's old-fashioned, and we missed it.
We are announcing the discovery of more than 100 sealed, colored, intact human coffins, and more than 40 funerary masks and statues and canopic jars and this wonderful wooden private statue. All of this work that you see is the result of the work and the excavation of my colleagues working in the Supreme Council of Antiquity.
This discovery, number one, because of the number of the coffins that we found. The number of the coffins that we found. We took about more than 100 coffins, which is something really very important. Number two, the standard of living, high-ranked people. That's why the condition of the coffins, not like the one that we did announce October 3rd with those 59 coffins. No, this time, most of them, they were a little bit rich or richer than the other one, little bit high rank than the other one,